case of Amanda Hocking, doing so well with ebooks, it's not a coincidence. I can't cite the exact source or the numbers, but research has shown that more women than men have adopted reading on ebooks, and that the romance readers, paranormal romance, all those subgenres, those readers go to ebooks more than any other type of reader. So Amanda Hocking found her audience in exactly the right place. She's publishing paranormal ebooks, and that's where the most significant readership of ebooks is coming from, that market.
Okay. I just have a question. I haven't had a book published in 5 years, so and a lot has happened in 5 years. My publisher asked me to create a video book trailer, which I did. I was a little surprised that they wanted me to pay for this because it's a little expensive, and so by the time I'm done, my first 2,500 copies worth of royalties will immediately go to pay for the cost of the book trailer that I'm paying for out of my own pocket. So I wanted to know, A, is that typical nowadays in trade publishing?
Right.
And given that my first book was my #1 book best-selling title, I'm not doing a spammy thing, but just in case people have heard of it, it's the mother of all pregnancy books. So it has...
Oh, well, I've heard it, yeah.
Yeah, it's done okay in Canada
Yeah.
and around the world. So I thought there might be a little more investment in it. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful to my publisher. I'm just questioning the economics so that if you can think about it with your publisher's hat on. And then, again... The House's policy is we don't tour authors beyond Toronto unless we can get 2 TV interviews in the same city booked in advance on the same day. And I'm shocked because the landscape seems to have changed so dramatically in 5 years. And my agent said, it's not you, it's just the way things are nowadays. And because I always did 5 city tours. So I just am surprised, because when I look at the economics, Paul's model looks good.
Throw it to you. Adrian?
My experience so far, just at Penguin, I can only speak to that, is that book trailers, which are increasingly popular, publishers want to upload them to YouTube and other video sharing sites just to get the word out. We foot the bill for that. I haven't come across authors whose experience has been the opposite of that they've been requested to produce an expensive book trailer out of their own pocket. On acquisition, marketing plans are developed, and if the book is one that suits an online trailer, then that becomes a part of our acquisition process and is covered by our marketing budget. Now, a publisher like Penguin has a lot more, budgetary, resources than maybe a small, independent publisher. But I do know that even the big houses are having to slash the travel budgets. Unless you're super, super huge, you're not going to get a cross-country tour. And there was a time, kind of before my time in publishing, where that might not necessarily have been the norm, but it certainly happened more frequently than it does now. And I have a number of authors on my list who have expressed astonishment that there's so little budget for travel. Publishers are trying to come up with other ways to get the word out, including blog tours and radio tours and things like that, so that authors don't have to spend so much time on the road. Talk to Margaret Atwood. She developed the long pen and tries to reach as many readers as possible without leaving the comforts of home. But yeah, the paying for your own trailer is.
Just make a quick comment on that before the question. I think to pay for your own trailer when you have a publisher is ludicrous. And I will get all spammy. How to write a nonfiction book in 60 days. I have a trailer. My daughter was in grade 12. She was taking a film course. She shot it. She's a third-year Ryerson film student now. She wants me to take it off YouTube. I refuse because it's And I find it kind of embarrassing too, but it's had 7,000 hits. Now compared to Lady Gaga, that's nothing. But I sold 600 copies of this book in 1 year, So if you're going to do print on demand, get low-cost trailers. You can get low-cost trailers.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay. I just want to ask about the Amazon First Novel Contest, the online. I've hesitated to put anything in that because are you impressed with it? Do you like it? If somebody put something in there and it wasn't good, would they never sell a book again? What do you think of it?
You have nothing to lose by, submitting your book and everything to gain. Why wouldn't you? And yes, publishers do take notice of all of those prizes. Any prize that raises the visibility of a book, trust me, we're sticking it on the front cover. I mean, that's a marketing tool. That's something that when sales reps go around to sell to booksellers, they're saying, this won the Amazon First Novel Award. Pay attention. This is someone on the rise. So it means a lot to booksellers, to publishers, and if...
I'm not referring to winning it. I'm referring to just entering. It's like an online...
Right. You have nothing to lose. Really? Does anyone think of that? What could you lose from entering an online competition? Of course.
Nothing to lose.
I was just wondering, for children's picture books, is one route better than the other, or can you go either way?
I don't have much experience in that, and it, I think, depends too if your children's book is fiction or nonfiction. Penguin just recently acquired a nonfiction book that had a small self-publishing track record, but also a trailer of sorts on YouTube that had over 1 million hits and was picked up by Ellen DeGeneres. So of course we're like, oh, that sounds fantastic. We want to get in that business, and so we acquired it. But Penguin doesn't do much in the way of illustrated kids books, so that's really the only thing that I can speak to.
I'm glad you asked that question for one reason. Color in a book really increases your print-on-demand cost of the book and price, so that is something you want to be aware of. Having said that, I know people who are publishing books with color illustrations through Lightning Source Ink. I don't know what the books cost or what their success is, but it does up the price.
A wise teacher of mine said there's a lot of mediocre authors that are published because they put themselves out there, and there's a lot of really good authors that are not published. With the advent of the e-market, are you not going to find that there's going to be a glut of new Howletts out there who think, like the American Idol version, I can sing, but they can't, pumping their books into the market, and it's making harder for legitimate, good, let's say nonfiction or fiction authors, for people to find their work on this market that is now overflowing with these pedophile books or stuff like that.
Your job to cut through the crap if you're going print on demand. It's your job to promote and market your book. I am publishing, and this is not getting all spammy, just if you don't want to buy the book but would like to read it, I'm publishing every chapter from Everything You Want to Know About Freelance Writing on my blog. So go to my blog, you can read it for free. If you like it but you're frustrated with reading it on the blog, maybe you'll buy it. And maybe you'll just read it there. I don't care, I'm just putting it out there, you know. If you read it and you think, well, this is crap, then you don't buy it. The reader gets to choose. I love the democratization of print on demand. So there are bad writers out there, you know, like who cares?
Okay, sorry, Adrienne. Mm-hmm. Did you want to follow up?
I was just going to say that publishers and, well, agents, editors, publishers, they've all traditionally been the gatekeepers, the quality control experts for the kind of stuff that makes it into the market. And that might be shifting. We're all seeing the tides of change. With the glut of self-published books, you know, as you said, there's a huge deluge of maybe mediocre material out there. But what that means is that someone will come along and say, oh, okay, I'm gonna create bestseller lists for these self-published books. I'm going to, help consumers navigate this huge field. And so you'll end up with new gatekeepers. There's always going to be a gatekeeper, and that might morph through the ages, but it's always going to come. It's always going to happen.
Let me ask two quick questions, if I may. How many of you have read the Da Vinci Code? Oh. How many of you felt that he needed an editor? So, you know, like the consumers will decide. You know?
Okay. The consumers did decide, and he sold a shitload of books.
No, he did, yeah, they did. Yeah, the consumers will decide. Good, bad, you know. The fact that you all think he needed an editor didn't matter because he sold a shitload of books. So consumers will decide based on whatever their criteria is.
Okay, I'm back here then.
Yeah,
Hi, I
but
have
he
a
needs an editor.
question more on, I guess, for queries, what we should put in, like, with online communities like inkpop.com, autonomy.com. I'm sure there's lots of them out there. Should we be putting them, putting it in our query letters that we are on these sites and we're getting readership through that?
The first stop is to, your query letter is first addressed to prospective agents. You want representation when you're dealing with a big house so that you get the best deal possible. So I would assume then that agents would want to know exactly, how you plan to reach your target audience, if you are involved in these online communities, if you have the support of other writers, if you have endorsements from other writers. Anything that you can do to show agents or editors that you're out there, you're hustling and you're seeing results is all to the good.
Could you speak a little bit to the probability or the odds that going, say, Penguin ebook way, how does that increase your likelihood of getting a contract or getting your book published versus the traditional publishing?
I don't think I understand your question.
Yeah. Well, in traditional publishing, the publishing houses get like 10,000 queries and they might look at maybe 2% or whatever.
Right.
But the e-ones, because you don't have the costs of putting the books out there and because you don't have those costs, does that percentage, how many more books do you consider? How many more authors would you work with?
It doesn't quite work like that. Publishers, when they're thinking about acquiring books, want to acquire hardcover, paperback, and ebook rights. They don't want to separate them out. That's what I was going to speak to a little later on in my talk. Publishers are adamant that they acquire print rights at the same time that they do ebook. They know that the big growth is in ebooks and they want to secure those rights. So when I was describing the cases of Amanda Hocking and Barry Eisler, I was saying that you need a traditional publisher to really push your print books, but that it makes more sense to retain ebook rights because you can make a lot more money and get a higher royalty. The sad situation is that publishers don't want to separate out those rights, and that's the battle that you're going to see taking place between agents and authors and those publishing houses. Publishers want them all, to maintain, to reap the maximum profit from the work. And what the case of Amanda Hocking shows us is that you can make a tremendous amount of money just selling ebooks, and the print books aren't as important in this new kind of book selling paradigm.
A quick comment on that too is like the books I sell through Kindle, although the retail prices are way less than the print and less than the PDFs, I'm making 70%. So if you have a contract with a publisher and they're offering you 10 or 15% royalty on the print books, fine. But on the ebooks, I would suggest you should be making at least 50% because there's no print costs. So you should be making a whole lot more money on ebooks. So just think about that when negotiating contracts.
I'm over here. Last question.
Thank you for taking my question. What would you advise to first fiction writers to approach the publishers or literary agents?
Literary agents, definitely. Most traditional publishers don't accept unsolicited manuscripts, and those are the kind that have no agent kind of pitching them. So definitely go the way of agents. If your work is extraordinary, send it along anyway, because some enterprising editorial assistant is going to discover it in the slush pile and hands it off to her editor, and then we'll be really excited that you have no agent because it means we'll get a better deal. But frankly, that's absolutely true. But do get an agent. Do get an agent. We don't want to. Publishers. We don't want to take advantage of authors. We want to nurture and support authors, but realizing at the same time that it's big business, and that's true too.